alleged certificate forgery.
2,000 Nigerian refugees to return from Niger, says FG.
Woman sets husband ablaze.
How discos lost 358 billion naira in 3 months.
Along the Nigerian Tribune newspaper certificate scandal, Uche Nnaji resigns as minister.
INEC Yakubu proceeds on terminal leave, hands over to Abamuche Mbu. Tinubu honors him with national award.
New tax regime, FG targets relief for 98% of workers. And Osun LG Fund, Supreme Court reserves judgment in state suit against AGF.
Tinubu writes Senate withholds assents to 2 bills, says FG must prevent abuse of funds. ACF wants FG to protect Dangote refinery in nation's interest.
Ogun Airport records first commercial flight as NCAA approves operations in Ekiti Airport, and SSANU NASU to protest October 9 over FG's failure to meet demands.
On the Punch newspaper, countdown to 2027, Tinubu to pick new INEC chair this week. Yakubu steps aside, President consults Council of State. Selection process under spotlight.
Displaced Borno residents recount Boko Haram invasion, and World Bank dismisses Nigeria's single-digit inflation target.
How Abbas intervention stalled minority leaders' impeachment. And we have Science Minister Nnaji resigns over alleged certificate forgery.
Also on the Punch newspaper, police pensioners rally for protest after talks collapse. Cultists Q4 in Lagos, Ogun communities.
And finally, Tinubu axes 2 National Assembly bills over policy clash.
And on the Daily Times newspaper, Tinubu seeks NAS approval for new $2.3 billion external borrowing, $500 million sovereign sukuk.
We're ready to lend $500 million to Nigerian government, says AFDB.
Also about Nnaji. Nnaji bows to pressure, resigns as president, accepts his resignation.
World Bank warns of job crisis as 600 million workers enter Africa's labor market.
And on page 4, reps seek medical intervention for Nnamdi Kanu.
Supreme Court reserves judgment on withheld Osun local government funds.
And on INEC matters, Yakubu bows out, hands over to May Abamuche Mbu as acting chairman.
And that's much we can take on our newspaper headlines this morning, and over to our review with Chris Maduka. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Uche. Good morning, Lillian.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, people of the world, from any part of the world you're watching. It's another new day, bright and early, and we give glory to Almighty God.
Okay,
Daily Trust.
Yes, what's trending on all the newspaper headlines?
Amupito Nnaji, INEC chair. And then, if there are people say no smoke without fire, if the person who will take over from Yakub Mahmoud is already being talked like this, then it brings to bear Nigerians' process of choosing who is the chief arbiter, who is the chief referee in our electoral system. So the question is, if Yakub Mohammed, was a professor, is leaving and no Nigerian are missing him, we have to review his position. And whoever is preparing to step into the small shoe or big shoe of Yakub should also be very conscious, because the proverb says, if the first child did not crawl, will the second one run? The selection process of Nigerian Independent National Electoral Commission makes the independence in that acronym so useless. A single individual, because of the power vested in him or her in the Nigerian Constitution, appoints who will decide whether he will continue to be there or another person will replace him. Makes the whole process a child's play. And we ask, if you listening or watching us is approached by the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria and he said, we have found you worthy in character and experience and qualification to lead Independent National Electoral Commission, and they provide you house, condition of service looks sumptuous, beautiful, and put you there and said, go and deliver. What was that person telling you? And your father or your boss is in the race that you are going to decide the winner. And there's a proverb of our people that said that a princess or a prince can never be found guilty in a court where his father is part of the panel or even being the chairman of the panel. Nigerians are playing with, they're telling themselves lies. It's an anathema. It doesn't work. Even me that is working here, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot make me INEC chair. And I'll go there and be acting that I'm being objective, I'm doing this, I'm independent. Independent of my foot. Some people who have tried to show some element of independence know how to end it. And some people who do not even have God at all, they don't even find independence in the appointment letter. They just find out that they find themselves heading National Electoral Commission, NEC. They kept independent as Aso Rock. Have delivered, and we have seen what they delivered and the result. I don't want to go into it. Let Nigeria continue to roll in their shit. And expect probably international community to come and tell them how to organize the electoral system, who we appoint, how they were appointed to have independence. We clearly set plan to fail, and we're expecting to succeed. I still do not understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. It can make sense to other Nigerians, but for me, sitting here to look at what has happened over time with independent nations, they've answered so much names, but at the last is in INEC. That's one we know, and already somebody. And the last question I will ask before I leave: if Mayor Uche Mbo took over the mantle from Yakub, what stops him or stops her from not continuing in that position? Why should another person be appointed? It brings another thing to the minds of people where the woman come from. That if you bear any name that resembles whatever Mayor Mbo is bearing, even if the mantle falls on you as the most senior staff of INEC, you can never hide INEC. Nigerians should watch themselves. And children are watching. The international community are watching. Tomorrow they expect peace. They will tell us it's one Nigeria and all that. These are questions left either in the open. Why wouldn't the person who took over mantle from her not continue? Why is he expecting that in few days somebody will be appointed to head her when she's clearing the highest? They may know. I don't know the status. I don't know the statute or whatever that established INEC. I don't want to know. What I want to know is that right things should be done to declare it to everybody, even people who do not go to school. Because we have used whatever grammar or this complex nature of things like that to deceive the majority of Nigerians. And that's my opinion on that.
All right, let's move forward with the certificate scandal. Uche Nnaji resigns as minister.
It got to the point where the minister had to resign. Something has to give way for one to take place. And in Igbo parlance, they say akaka bajiaka. Now, it means, there's this wrestling battle where that people do check of power. when people put their hand like this. So the stronger hand will pull the other one down. That is what we can read in the whole issue of Uche, Nnaji, and certificate scandal. They brought UNN into it. Some people, we have read somewhere where even Uche, Nnaji, pointing finger to the sitting governor of Enugu State, saying, Governor Mba, the hand, But the Bilibo in their music said, once you are not succeeding, there must be reason why. For whatever reason, the man is resigned. What we are holding is that he has certificate forgery. Now the question is, that the presidency were rushed to accept his resignation. The question is, how many people in positions of authority in Nigeria are holding original certificates? Have they done the vetting? Because as we are talking, even people in the highest level, their certificate and what they hold is not clear to Nigeria. So meaning, we allow such things and overlook it depending on when the case is too much against you, they bring up certificate forgery and you go. Why the others do it? So the other ones there are now shown. You have seen what happened to this person. If you come with certificate forgery because you have your record, you keep quiet and accept every condition. Then when you become too loud and become too ambitious, we bring up your certificate forgery thing and you go. It's unfortunate that even University of Nigeria should be brought into this. It's unfortunate that the minister of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria, will be brought into this. It's unfortunate that even the last elections, that some people that contested for presidency in Nigeria are still willing to contest, do not have clear case of how their certificates are. And it's the INEC that's supposed to vet. And when these things are in public domain, people are kind does he go to school? Did he pass WAEC or this? The WAEC, the INEC that cleared this, will not come out. Universities that they claim they attended, or even primary school they claim they attended, will not come out to say, this is one of us. Or he was one of us. Nigeria is a very complex country. We sit down here telling ourselves lies. I keep saying every day. Because if you look at Nigeria headlines, you find that how lies we keep telling ourselves keep coming up every day in our headlines. And we try to justify it or kill it or argue it, review, talk. But this is a lie. Somebody told you one day, nobody challenged it. And every time you appear, Uche Nnaji, the minister, is not only alone in certificate forgery in Nigeria, and I can beat my chest to tell you. And I know that all the universities in Nigeria or across the world where some of these people claim they are telling, no, they are telling lies, but they can't come out to say. I know that people who appointed them, if they wanted to trace in this digital age, to find out qualification at the school is a simple click, and somebody's record will be out. And I know that Nigeria has the power as sovereign nation to request for record of single individual. Because when it comes to the state dealing with one man, they do it quickly and dispose. But when it comes doing the right thing as a state, we won't do it. Nigeria is also complicit. Whoever is Nigeria. And when we talk about Nigeria, it means most of all of us. All of us that are Nigerians are complicit of corruption, sleaze, and the double talk, double standard. And it will not make us to develop. Let's move on, my dear.
Right. On the Daily Times, we're saying Tinubu seeks NAS approval for new $2.3 billion external borrowing.
He is just telling them, we have not heard of any approval he sought with National Assembly that he didn't get. So this is just preamble and protocol. It's as good as telling Nigerians that President Tinubu will borrow another of that amount. Case closed. And somewhere, African Development Bank is somewhere flying the kite of $500 million. Come on. They will borrow and borrow and borrow until even the 20th generation of yet unborn children, they borrow up their future and that. But that's wickedness. That's insensitivity. That is lack of sustainability plan. You just borrow and chop now. I keep saying that the analogy of a friend who went to Paris, do you call it Paris? Because of you guys are dealing with the pronunciation, but whichever way, I know that Paris is in France. He went there to a restaurant to eat. He entered. What he saw in the front door is come and feed. It is free. You trust Nigerians? He went into the restaurant and they had a belly full of food. He even ate the one he has never eaten before, and there was like, belching and feeling cool. When he wanted to step out, he looked also at the door. Before he stepped out, he said, pay for the ones, somebody paid for the one you eat, pay for the ones who will eat tomorrow. When the man asked, they asked him, this is what he calls sustainability in a nutshell. Nigerians, both big and small, our leaders do not think about tomorrow. They borrow to spend now. Ask them what they do with the borrowings they've done. Let the Ministry of Finance, under the oversight function of the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, they will use the Ministry of Finance to borrow. President can go, they will use the Ministry of Finance with all the papers, all those, to borrow money from all these banks. Let them tell us the ones that they borrowed in the last 6 months, what they do with it, where it enter. Because borrowing is good. Nobody is saying that. It is what you do with what you borrow that brings us to fear. Nigerian leadership has never borrowed for good. They borrow to squander, borrow to pay salaries, borrow to build houses. Houses that are not commercial. It's not that they borrow to build houses they will rent for people to pay and they get. They borrow to build houses and to refurbish Jordan Barracks. To borrow to build house for vice president. To borrow to buy yacht and that big cars for the president, and borrow to buy extensive convoy from the local government chairman to the president. That's all. If you see where they're moving, they borrow to buy SUVs for all National Assembly members. Borrow, borrow to tar roads. Borrow. If you borrow to build industry, borrow to do agriculture, you can export. Borrow to do refineries where you pull oil and export. Borrow to do this. We can see. We borrow to refurbish refineries that for 30 years they were borrowing. We still borrow and nothing has come out of it. We still borrow. Instead of using that money, we borrow to build modern refinery like Dangote. People like Pengassi will go where Dangote has gone to borrow to do, trying to make his business, to sit on it and say, you call Nigeria? At times I say, what kind of country is this? Who did this to us? So borrowing, because once if you are addicted to cocaine, even when they give you ash and drug, you call it and sniff. Nigerians are addicted to borrowing. So everywhere, they will even go and borrow to the beggars. If the African Development Bank is flying kite off, but then they know it's not for free. My friend's name is Onyugwo Nochog, or Ugoji. If a borrower or a debtor finish writing, you must pay. If you don't pay now, you pay later. Now it is wickedness when you don't think about who will pay the debt you borrow. So Nigerians, good luck. Go on borrowing. But remember, you must pay. That's all. Once we have consciousness that how we pay, that we must pay and how we pay it, and we have worked it out, no way. But it's only when we know that it's like, let's do in the next, if you are coming in as a 4-year tenure, as a governor or president or local government chairman, you borrow more what that local government has never touched before in all their life. Nigeria is 65 years. One single tenure leadership in one corner of our arms of government will borrow more than what Nigeria has never budgeted since 65 years. Who will pay? It means another 65th generation of Nigerians are in debt. And they were asking why we are not we still dependently independent. Because the man who pays the piper dictated the two. They kept us on cocaine of borrowing that allows euro, pound sterling, and it sounds good. We have not thought about how we can work out our own salvation. The Bible I read say, work out your salvation. Nigerians are not good at working out salvation. We want Yahoo, quick money. Let's move on. Before they say I say anything.
All right, we're seeing on the Daily Trust that the Senate proposes 10-year passport ban on Nigerians convicted abroad. And we also have just below 2,000 Nigerian refugees to return from Niger, says federal government.
That's good. Who profiled them that said they are Nigerians? Elections are reaching out. We open our borders again. I say anybody who says he's an IGP become Nigerian. They watch it. Let it not be what I'm thinking. We have not finished the problem. We have. And you opening borders and say, profile them very well, make sure they are Nigerians. No problem. But let me even the other one you say, what's the other one before?
Senate proposes 10
Senate is proposing beautiful senators and people in federal houses, people in state houses, people in government that have been convicted internally. How many years did they get?
10 years.
No, they are proposing for people who commit offense outside. I am saying inside. You have to make your house in order now. Let's know. People in National Assembly who embezzle Nigerian money and are corrupt, did they put it there? That if you are here in this distinguished chamber, the red chamber of federal senator, if you are found worthy, they should put it down. They should also sit down and put the law. He's not thinking about let them leave the people outside Nigeria. They commit offense, they go to jail there. Let us sort Nigeria out from presidency to the smallest man. If you commit offense, you do. Even you sitting here in the Senate chamber, if you commit offense, this is your offense. They won't sit down there. We leave the lack of food in our eyes, looking for speck in our brothers. That is an error. National Assembly. Senators are there, they're sitting down, people who they will ban. What of here? What has Senate said about people who commit offense in Nigeria? What are they committing at people who corruption, insecurity, people caught in insecure situation and all? What did the Senate say? They should be even more telling us what people in government, they have started knowing the idea of increasing the salary of people working in political office holder. But they didn't tell us what offense they would, how many years they will serve if they are found guilty of any offense. It's an error of judgment. Let us put everything in order, clear, accountability, transparency. Let Nigerians know, if you do this, that's your punishment. If you do this, that's your punishment. No matter your level, whether you commit offense abroad or commit, why are they going to make law for people abroad? Who has committed offense abroad that didn't go to jail? Even Nigerian senior political office holders are still in jail outside Nigeria. So, why are they worried about where people go? What of them that are here? Let them sort that one out.
All right, Chris, good question. You know what time it is?
Oh, it's that time. Okay, so that's it. And that's why we say, like Uche will always remind me, Nigerian Wahala.
They finish.
So God bless you for joining us this morning. And God bless all of you, my grown-up angels, and all the people of the world who have watched. Remember, I keep saying God will bless all of us, but remember that God's blessing are meant for all those who deserve to be blessed.
All right, a very big thank you to our expert analyst, Chris Maduka. Thank you for joining us in the studio this morning. Now we'll go on a short break, and this is where we'll end our newspaper headlines and review. Coming up next is still our signature morning. Stay tuned.